I don't have a whole lot of comments. I would just say that I'd be willing to make a motion that we approve the version that was submitted to us by Jay White.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to adopt the resolution presented by Mr. White. I think it might be appropriate that we read that so that the audience knows the text of what we're talking about. Would you like me to do that? Or okay. And this is the version that we just received the motion on. Whereas the United States Constitution is the supreme law of our nation, and whereas the Second Amendment to the United States Constitution states, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And whereas the Supreme Court of the United States has recognized in several opinions, including but not limited to District of Columbia versus Heller and McDonald versus the City of Chicago, that the rights guaranteed by the Second Amendment to the United States Constitution are individual rights, and whereas the Second Amendment of the United States Constitution has been applied by the states by the incorporation doctrine and the due process clause of the 14th Amendment. And whereas Article 1, Section 30 of the North Carolina Constitution states, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And whereas the right to bear arms is a fundamental right for self-defense, for the defense of others, including family members, for the protection of individual rights and liberties, and for the preservation of our United States of America and the United States Constitution. And whereas the criminal misuse of firearms is not a sufficient justification to warrant the infringement of the rights of law-abiding citizens of Cabarrus County, and whereas each member of the Cabarrus County Board of Commissioners has a deep commitment to the rights of all citizens of Cabarrus County to keep and bear arms, and whereas each member of the Cabarrus County Board of Commissioners swore an oath to support, maintain, and defend the United States Constitution and the laws of the United States, and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina not inconsistent therewith, and will faithfully discharge the duties of the office. And whereas each member of the Cabarrus County Board of Commissioners expresses a deep and abiding commitment to protecting all of the constitutional rights of the citizens of Cabarrus County, and to stand in opposition to any law, executive order, resolution, or edict that would unconstitutionally infringe upon a citizen's rights under the Second Amendment of the United States Constitution and the North Carolina Constitution to keep and bear arms. And whereas the Cabarrus County Board of Commissioners desires to express its intent to stand united as a county for the preservation and defense of the rights enshrined in and protected by the Second Amendment of the United States Constitution, and to oppose within the limits of the United States Constitution and the North Carolina Constitution efforts to unconstitutionally restrict and or infringe upon such rights, and to use all legal means at its disposal to protect the rights of citizens to keep and bear arms. Now therefore be it resolved by the Cabarrus County Board of Commissioners, it intends to uphold the Second Amendment rights of the citizens of Cabarrus County, and will oppose any law that unconstitutionally infringes upon the rights thereunder, and/or under the North Carolina Constitution for the citizens of Cabarrus County to keep and bear arms. Okay, is there additional discussion?
I just would like to make a few comments, if I can.
Yes, ma'am.
Obviously, I will support this motion and plan to vote for it, but I would like to discuss a few things that I find concerning about how we got here tonight. I wanted to review the events that have happened since our work session on January 6th. The comment was made we had had the resolutions 2 weeks ago. We had never heard of it 2 weeks ago, received no resolutions, had not had any request from any public person to put it on the agenda. None. The first thing that I got or saw, or I will say as of today's meeting, I've received directly 2 emails from citizens and 1 text about it, and that's all that I had received, but I was aware of a lot of conversation on social media. After being tagged by Make Cabarrus County a Second Amendment county in several posts, I started doing a little research. I was trying to gain understanding why each of you, or those of you who are here, thought that the commissioners didn't support the Second Amendment. After all, each commissioner took that oath that you've heard about over and over tonight, so it goes without saying that we support the Second Amendment. This page, Make Cabarrus County a Second Amendment county, was started on January the 11th. This page was not even started when we had our work session on January 6th. Not even started. That was 10 days ago. In 10 days, this thing has escalated to the point where the comments on social media have been amazing. As I mentioned, I was shocked when I opened it up and the headline said, "No action to protect your Second Amendment rights," with a photo of all the commissioners. And then it said no vote on January the 21st. Well, I had several issues with the post because, as Chairman Morris mentioned, we have to be public in our meetings. We had no request on the January 6th. This is our first time and opportunity we had to take action. The request for that action didn't come before the meeting, it came in the middle. But 10 days later, the remarks that have been on the social media have all obviously believed that we weren't for the Second Amendment, that you're going to have to come and ask for your rights. And several of you mentioned that in here, that you felt compelled that was why you had to be here. What I will say to you is there's a board of commissioners, there's 5 of us. Not one of us can take action. It takes 3 commissioners to move something forward. And that has to be done in a public meeting. We can't just get on the phone and call each other and say, you want to do this or not. That's not how it works. So we've tried to follow the rules as we're supposed to. The administrators of that Facebook page certainly should be aware of the requirement that the commissioners have. Since one of them's a candidate for office, they above all should know the process. Steve Morris's email that he sent in response to many of the people stated this and stated that it's up to the commissioners. He followed the rules as the chairman, which I think some people said, well, that was ridiculous. Well, if you're on a board of 5 people, this is not a dictatorship. Each one of us has 1 equal vote. And so he can't just come in and tell us all what we're going to do. Can you imagine how a board would work with that and how it would get along and how it would move the county forward as we've been able to do by respecting each other and working together? None of that was ever pointed out on this Facebook page, just the sensationalism with misleading statements to try and ignite you, our citizens, to believe that we didn't support that. The escalation of these events from the time the page was created on January 11th, which was just 10 days ago till now, has all of the press here, has all of you guys here under the impression that we were not for your Second Amendment rights. I never once was approached by the administrators of that group or those of you who were speaking tonight. I got 2 emails, that was it, to ask me what my thoughts were on that. Instead, I, along with other commissioners, were portrayed as though we didn't support the effort. I began to question what would make administrators of this page take such action and researched it a little bit. In doing so, I found out there were 5 administrators on this page. As I said, one's a candidate and the personal page of that candidate, 2 supporters, and then a page that was created on yesterday is now an administrator. It became clear that this strategy was for other reasons. Not to say that those people aren't supportive and passionate about the Second Amendment, but why maybe we weren't contacted and asked and put our comments on there. Now, you could say, well, you could go on and comment, and I could. But what you'll learn as an elected official, you don't usually debate these things on social media. That's just not how you do it. Some people may, but it's not how I do it, and I never will. So if you have questions of me or you want to know where I stand on an issue, you can always call me, email me. I will be glad to sit down with you and discuss it with you. But you just can't believe everything you read. I guess so what I really want to say to you tonight is, as elected officials, don't always think that you believe what you read in social media. I mean, I think we all know that, but it doesn't appear like that tonight because some of the remarks that were made, where did it come from? It didn't come from us. It came from the hype on that page for just the last 10 days. It wasn't created till January the 11th. And 10 days later, here we are. So if this has been going on for that long, my question is, why did it take until an election period to become such a big issue? So Virginia, was it not a big issue before? So with that being said, I just think that the lesson here tonight is if you want to know where a candidate stands, ask them directly. In closing, I want to thank each of you for being here and coming and speaking, because at least we know when there's something that you are passionate about or you think we're off track, you're going to show up. And that's what we want. And so that's good to know. And we appreciate you being here and taking that action. And I just want to thank each of you for the opportunity to serve you. It is an honor, and I appreciate your being here tonight. But please, in the future, feel free to ask me. Don't take Facebook as the gospel, because a lot of times there's other reasons for why they're saying what they're saying. Thank you.
Okay, other discussion. I would just like to say that I am fully in support of this resolution. For those of you, and I'm thinking there's probably somewhere between 15 to 20 emails that I got, and I think that's probably came to me as chairman. And I think because my address was published on that Facebook page. But I tried in the response to those emails to explain what our normal process here is, and the fact that we take very seriously I guess if we turn the tables and let's say if we were voting on something, I mean, hopefully all of you are pleased by what we're doing tonight, because I think we share the same vision. But if we were voting for something that you weren't pleased about and we did not offer proper notice that we were going to do it, then I suspect that you might be upset. And so that is the piece of it that I take very seriously. The reason that I feel comfortable voting on this resolution tonight, which we haven't given the public notice, when we publish our agenda and give notice of what we're discussing, this was not included on there. I feel comfortable in passing this resolution because it simply restates something that I have already sworn an oath to in the past. So this is not anything that's in conflict with the normal operation of the board. So I just felt like that explanation needed to be made. And so is there any additional comments to be made? If not, we will move to a vote. So all in favor of the motion to approve the white version of the resolution that I just read, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say no. Okay, that motion passes unanimously.